Hello everyone, welcome back to Tina Teach. Today in Python project, the second part about the dictionary that we're going to be coding. Continue to code. To refresh your memory, if you don't want to go back to the first video to get an overview of what we're currently doing, we are creating a graphical user interface where we can input text, have the program store it, and display it to us whenever we need it, as well as using the search engine to search for particular keywords, phrases, or sentences that we have inputted. And all of this input is stored in a text file that the program, this Python program, can access and manipulate its data. We are currently doing the delete button, where if you notice, the command part is command equals to self dot delete selected log from list. Now this command has not existed yet. We are not dealing with the logic or the functionality of the program. Not right now. We are working on the graphical side of it using tkinter, okay? We're just making the buttons, we're just making the scroll bars, not yet the command. But if you take a look at the names, which are quite evident, this delete button that we have right here allows us to delete a selected log that are displayed within that are displayed as a list to us. All right. Moving on to the function clear content frame, and then the parameter is the self. For widget in self.content frame, winfo underline children widget destroy. Okay, just make sure that you have the correct spacing because this is Python that we're talking about here. And then moving on to another function, load logs self. Clear content frame essentially would clear the display. Let me pause for a bit. It will clear the display area of the list of all of the inputs that you have that is stored in the text file that is referenced in the program code. Why do you need to do this? As I've mentioned, we do have a delete button. What it does, if you remember, you select a log and you delete it. Naturally, if you've modified a text file, or you've modified a displayed in a program, it needs to refresh itself to update that change. Therefore, we need a clear content frame. And the same with load logs. If you clear the content, you have to load it back. Otherwise, you just get a blank display area. So self, log file, and then R for read as file, logs equals to file dot read lines. And then return log.strip for log in logs, except file not found error, return nothing. Another function, save logs, self. So with open self, this is to make sure that any changes that we've made, any modification, any deletion is saved in the text file. So the next time you open the program, you get the change file from the previous session instead of the file as is original. File write to new line join self.logs. Let me just scroll down. Definition or function at log self idea equals to self dot idea entry get tags. Yeah, you just link them up, self dot tags entry. Okay, and this is for new input. All right, given the name add log, you get to add the idea or the keyword or whatever you want. This will be the main thing. And then you have the tags and you have the definition for the idea. And we are just declaring variable and assigning them the appropriate links, idea to idea, tags to tag, definition to definition. So we can do a conditional statement. If idea and tags and definition log entry equals to format idea is idea, tags, put in tags. This is pre-formatted, okay? And if you want to change the format, you can go back to this section and you change, as you can see, the format, right? What this does essentially is when you input in the area for input, right, we would have a little rectangle where you put in your idea, your tags, and your definition. And these are unformatted tags, okay? These are raw strings, and they will be inputted into these given fields right here. So the idea input would go after idea, tags after tags, so on and so forth. This will save you time in manually formatting every idea that you have. We're just making things a little bit easier. Self.logs append log entry, save log. So we append it to the text file and then we save it. Message box dot show info, and we have success to declare to the user that the log has been added, and there's nothing wrong with the process of adding in a new idea, new tag, and new definition. Self.clear entries, else message box. So after we've inputted, we append it to the text file, we save it, and then we show that it is successful. The log has been added, changed, and saved. We clear the entry so we can put in the new idea, new tag, and new definition. Just so we don't have to delete our previous input. Otherwise, input error, all fields must be filled out. In the case that we do not have the variable for idea, tags, and definition that are needed from the entry fields or the display area, you know. So clear entry, we have another function, clear entry, because up there we put clear entry. If you remember, go back a little bit, we put clear entry up here, right? Now clear entry doesn't mean anything yet, therefore we need to define a specific function that does this thing. Self.idea underline entry dot delete 0 tk.n. Self dot tags entry delete 0 tkn, and you would do the same with the definition. Self dot definition entry dot delete tkn, and then we have over here function search log. So we're working with the search function right now. So we're done with adding, saving, changing, clearing, and displaying success, and then the input error. Next up, to search test equals to search entry get lower. Lower means lowercase, and we're focusing on the entry field, the specific entry field that we've already created in part 1. And if you want to check that out, I recommend you go to that previous video. I will link at the end of the video or in the description box. So these variables right here, just like the one above with idea equals to, you know, self dot idea entry or something like that, we are we are assigning the input of an entry field to this variable so we can manipulate the user input that are of that entry field. Self.search. We also do the same for tags as well. We are searching both the main idea, which we name as tags, and then the tags. Self.search result dot delete. Max width is 145. So this is the maximum width for each line in the list box. For log in self.logs, if search tags in log.lower or not search tags and search tags in log.lower or not search tags split the log It is a bit roundabout, but simply I am saying if there is a tags in the search tags field, search for that in the log, or if there is, let me pause for a bit. Or if there is input in the search tag, search for that. You either search one or the other or both. For line in lines, self.search results, insert tkn, and then line. Insert a single empty string to act as a new line separator, separating between the search results. So if you have like multiple search results, there will be a space after each line to separate them instead of them being all stacked on top of each other. If log does not equal to self.logs -1, avoid adding a separator after the last log. You may wonder why I go through, I already inserted single empty string as a new line separator. Why avoid adding another separator? Is because during testing, this program has a very interesting behavior where if you reset the display or you continue searching, it would actually add a lot of spacing in the text file itself. And the text file that I'm talking here is the one that you add in new input, you save it or you delete it, right? And you would have a line being separated to another line for like 20 different new lines. So you'd have a search result and then 20 empty lines and then another search result. Okay, so I'm just making sure, sort of a caution from that behavior right here. Self.search results, insert tk.n, and then go back in. Another function, edit selected logs dot self. Any log that you click on in the display area, you can click on the edit button to edit the idea, the tags, and the definition. Just to refresh your memory, selected index equals to self.search results. Dot current selection or cur selection, not cur selection. If selected index, calculate the actual log index considering the wrapped lines. Very important to put in your comments so you know which line of code does what, so you don't have to, try to go through the whole thing to sort of see how everything fits together. Log index equals to selected index, assuming each log entry takes 2 lines. Which includes text and then separator. If 0 is less than or equal to log index, less than the length of the logs, selected log equals to self.logs log index self.edit log selected log, and then we go back out. Over here we have another function, edit selected log from the list self. So it's the main list box that will display the search results as well as the whole list when we need it. Selected index equals to self.logs underline list box cur selection for current selection, listbox dot cur selection. Sorry, I made a mistake there. The current selection should not be a parameter. If selected index, calculate the actual log index considering the wrapped lines. Log index equals to selected index, and we have the index 0. Assuming each log entry is 2 lines. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy and paste that. Moving on to a conditional statement. If 0 is less than or equals to log index less than length self.logs selected log equals to self.logs log index self.edit log selected log another function, edit logs self.log. So this is edit selected log from list, and now this is edit log. Okay, that's different. This is a whole different field, right? Entry field, where we can edit the actual thing. And the above edit selected log from list, we're just selecting the log and let the program know, from when to where that I can replace with a new entry. Use separate dialogues for each part, allowing the user to skip any part they don't want to change. So partial edits basically. If you don't include partial edits, Python will make sure that you have to edit the idea, tags, and definition. And for the parts that you want to keep, you have to rewrite them to consider it as an edit, even though it's the same text. No idea, simple dialogue, string, edit idea. Edit idea, this is just a prompt, which will give you a field to put in your new input or whatever changes you want to make to this old log. New tags equals to simple dialogue dot string. Simple, that's a typo over there. String, edit tags, initial value, new definition equals to simple dialog dot string edit definition initial value equals to definition. Moving down to if new idea is not none or new tags is not none. Basically making sure to only update the sections that have been changed. So if there's no change, then don't update that, just keep it. Only update the log entry if there are changes. Otherwise, keep it, right? New log entry equals to format. And now we do the same thing as we did with the earlier format, but we're placing new idea, new tags, and new definition in place of the old one, which is just idea, tags, and then definition. New idea if new idea is not none, else idea. So if the idea is not changed, then just keep the idea. But if the idea is changed, then have the new idea. Same goes with tags, and same goes with definition. New definition if new definition is not none, else definition. Okay, now we have the self-logs, self.logs on the same line equals to new log entry. Alright, so I'm going to fix this typo over here, and I've moved the self.logs down below. Self.save logs. Check if the list box exists to determine which view we're in. Again, we have an if-else statement. Self logs list box, and then self logs list box window info or w info, whether or not it exists, and we're in, which view are we in. Self dot refresh logs list box else search logs. Okay, just to make sure that any modifications that we have with the new idea or new tag or new definition entry is being accounted for. Next up, we move on to delete selected log. Selected index, self-search. I think this is self-explanatory enough. If you select a log, you can click on the delete button to delete it. If selected index, calculate the actual log index considering the wrapped lines, log index equals to selected index. Index is 0 currently. And just to make sure, we are considering two lines, the log itself and then the separator. We're considering two lines, the log itself and the separator. So when we delete a log, we also delete the separator. If 0 is less than or equal to, log index is less than the length of self.logs. Remove the entire log, not doc, entry from the logs list. And this also includes the text file that we save it in. So just pop it out, log index, self.save logs. Pop is a method to delete, okay, and you can see it occurred in other languages like JavaScript, for example. I believe JavaScript has a method that's also called pop, and you just pass in the index of whatever array or list that you have as a parameter to the pop method. Delete selected log from list selected index equals to self logs listbox dot current selection. If selected index, calculate the actual log index considering the wrapped lines. Log index equals to selected index 0 and 2. Two lines, the log itself and the separator. If 0 is less than or equals to log index, it's less than the length of self.logs. And then I'm just gonna put a comment, remove the entire log entry from the logs list, self.logs.pop log index. So the index is whichever we've selected from the display list box. Self.save logs is 0. Self.refresh logs. So after we delete it, we're going to refresh the display, make sure that the changes are accounted for and we can see it. Clear search entries, self.search entry delete 0tk.n, self search tags entry delete, same parameter, and then self.search results delete tk.n. All right. Refresh logs listbox. Self is the parameter, just to make sure. Self refers to the function itself. Logs listbox and self.logs underline list winfo exist. Ensure the list box still exists. So self.logs listbox delete tkn max width equals to 145. This will set the maximum width for each line of the list box. And then for log in self.logs, strip any leading or trailing white space from the entry of the log. Log entry. Log equals to log strip split log into lines that fit within the max with lines dot self wrap text log max width, and then for line in lines self logs listbox insert tk.n line another function. This is for wrapping text because we are using a list box, and the list box does not wrap text easily. You do have to define a function separately. If you were using something else, for example, if I remember correctly, it's like text area, then text area, very easily you can ask it to wrap the text in one of its parameters when you declare the element or the text area in tkinter, like we did earlier with all of the buttons and the display. But for the sake of the search function, we cannot use the text area. We're just gonna use the list box, okay? And then for word, scroll down. In words, if the length of the current line plus the length of the word plus 1 is less than or equal to the maximum width. Okay, so if the line of text is more than the maximum width that we have defined to be 145 earlier, current line plus a spacing and then the word, else current line equals to the word, else lines append current line, and current line equals to word if current line lines append current line return lines, another function. So we're done with the text wrap, right? We're just going to parse the log, assuming the log format is, idea, tags, and definition, just as we've coded out earlier. If you're gonna change the format, right, of the current idea and the new idea as well, when it comes to the function that edits the tag selection or the log selection, you're gonna have to change this part as well. Otherwise, it's gonna be very interesting behaviors that you have to debug. Tags part equals to idea part split tags, and then same thing for definition. Definition equals to tags part dot split, so definition. Okay, we're just separating a line of text into different ideas. Idea, tags, and definition, namely. Idea equals to tag idea part dot split, and then tags with tags part dot split definition, and then we return the idea, the tags, the definition, except we're going to pass in an error, index error, just in case that the log format is unexpected, as in is not as we've defined it in code. We're going to return none. We're going to return nothing, basically. And now to make sure that everything will be called and run, if name, make sure it's double underscore, equals to main, root equals to tk dot tk, app is pass in the name of the text file, which is dictionary app in this case, root dot resizable files root dot main loop. Okay, now that is it for the programming part. Now I'm going to run the program, and we're going to see how everything ties in together. Keep in mind that the position of the buttons in the entry field may be off, which you can freely change in the tkinter section of the code. You just need to change perhaps the height or the width by going back and forth from the program to the main code, back and forth. And you can easily change it that way. But for for this video, I'm just going to keep it as is, as long as there are no overlay of elements, and you can see all of the elements and how they work in tandem with each other. Make sure that you have your text file ready, okay? So I've declared the path over here. Now you can use forward slashes if it gives you an error, all right? Now this is where it is. This is my dictionary.py project, and this is the dictionary entry where it will take input, display input, basically store everything that goes through this dictionary program. Okay, so this is what we currently have. We cannot enlarge it yet. We can either minimize it or close it. We have my app, log, search, list. We have idea, keyword, definition, add, and clear. If you go to search, so this is what we have. All right, this is obviously not aligned properly, positioned properly, but everything else looks good. And list here as well. I'm going to have to, define the width and the height properly here. Now, obviously, we don't have anything in the text file, so it's blank. Let's see if we can add some ideas. I'm just going to type in something random. I hope that you can see with this color scheme. Okay, so if we clear, everything clears up, and we have to type in again. I'm going to keep it single character. And we add, log added 6. And then let's try adding another one, U this time. U, some U here, and just one U for the definition. We add, log added. Okay, go to search. Let's try, we added H and U, right? So if we submit, we have H over here. If we clear it, and we type in U, submit, we have U. And we go to list, we have both H and U. Now, let's try to edit H and U from the search section first. If you click on submit, right, as you can see, there's a spacing here, and we can select the ideas that we've logged in. I'm going to go with H first, and I'm going to edit, make it E. Okay, and then edit tags, make it E, long E this time. Okay, and then make it 3E. Okay, now we have E, all right, and we can also delete this E, which will be reflected in the list box over here. Now let's try editing U. Edit A, and then just A. Okay, now we have A. And if we go to the search, submit, we have A. If we try searching for U, we got nothing. We try searching for A, we got A, and obviously we can add more letters in here. Let's try to make it a partial add. All fields must be filled out. So I'm just going to type in randomly. And if you don't want anything to be within a field, you just press space, and that is also considered an input, and you can add it, no problem. All right, let's go to submit, and then let's try to keep this. We're doing partial edits. HHH. Okay, and then just cancel this. And as you can see, what's changed will be updated and modified, and what is not changed will be kept. Okay, and the same thing can go with list. We edit, we keep the A, we make this L, and we just cancel this part. So A, L, and A. You can also delete everything as well. And if you're wondering what's happening in the text file, log edit. So we have the list here. Let me just close this and then go to the text file. Open up text file. There we go. Now that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something new and you got yourself a neat little program that you can either use as your diary entry or your dictionary entry. If you're learning a new language, this can come into use as well. Anything that you need to store into a text file, be displayed, be searched, be modified however you want, you can always make use of this, although it is a bit long. But it is simple enough that without much knowledge of Python at all, you can change the graphical user interface as well as the format of the text. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this video and see you next time. Have a wonderful day.